This is like when I did those Travis Ryan songs. It's just goofy, right? The Phantom of... All right, I'm done. What's up, everybody? Mark with Cardivox Academy here, and today we are checking out Nightwish again because we've done 2 Nightwish videos so far, both of which have been Floor, and she's been amazing, but I wanted to revisit Tarja a little bit, or I should say, I say revisit because I did listen to Nightwish a lot back in 2004, 17 years ago, but it's been a little bit of time since then, so it's going to be rather new to me. From what I understand, Tarja is much more operatic. Hopefully I'm saying her name right. Whereas Floor is a little less so. So, sorry, my whisker is tickling my nose here. Goodness gracious. So it's going to be kind of fun to see what we've got going on here. Now, if you're new to the channel, what we do is we take the reaction format, we break it down, we make it educational. I myself am a vocal coach focusing a lot on deathcore and death metal. So this is definitely not my wheelhouse. I'm not going to sit here and teach you how to sing opera because that's not what I'm trained in, but I think it'll be fun to kind of get out of my element here and see what's going on. If you enjoy the video, if you have fun, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. It means a lot. It goes a long way. And if you really enjoy it, if you love the content and you want to see more videos, please feel free to check us out on Patreon. We've got a really cool community there. We do game nights, all sorts of fun stuff, all sorts of fun. You can check it out. Now, one thing I want to do before we watch this video is Phantom of the Opera is a classy endeavor. It's a classy thing. So I'm going to get a little bit classy and I'm going to have some Brimminghorn Kardashev themed mead. So the band that I am a part in, can't say my band, the band that I am a member of, Kardashev, we worked with Brimminghorn to get some mead here. I think it's all sold out, but I'm going to be at the opera here. I'm going to enjoy some delicious mead. That should be good. That'll carry me through. And with that being said, let's go ahead, let's jump into it, and let's check out Phantom of the Opera by Nightwish, specifically a version with Tarja at the helm. Let's go.
A voice which calls to me and speaks my name. And do I dream again? Oh, now I find the Phantom of the Opera is here inside my mind.
All right, so I'm pretty familiar with the song, The Phantom of the Opera, so I know some basic places where it would be good to talk. First thing I notice is, yeah, these are very different voices. Tarja and Floor have very different voices. I mean, you don't have to be an opera expert, which I certainly am not, but you don't have to be an opera expert to hear Tarja and say, oh, okay, this is a much more operatic sound. There is an incredible amount of open space in her vocal mechanism, right? In her mouth, she is creating room for the acoustic properties of her voice to do a lot of the work for her, right? I mean, she's very relaxed here. This is a very relaxed and open singing voice that she's using. Also, one thing that I love, and one thing that I really love about opera in general, right? Obviously, there's a lot more to opera than this, but one thing I love is the very present vibrato. You know, there's a difference between somebody who's got this very present theatrical vibrato and somebody who doesn't have control of their vibrato. And a trained vibrato to me sounds so cool. So cool. I also liked the way that when she said the phrase Phantom of the Opera, she started off with very open vowels there. And then when she got to opera, she was more opera, hey, she totally changed up her timbre. I thought that was really cool. Also, like, shout out to her for her rockin' yellow outfit. She's got a yellow mic stand. She's rocking this big yellow coat thing. She's got a yellow microphone and everything else there is dark. I love that. That is so cool. Let's hear her say that opera again. Hear her change that timbre, and then we'll continue on. Very cool stuff. Yeah, that's cool.
Inside my mind.
Cool. Okay, so now we're a little bit more in my wheelhouse. First, you know, I've heard Nightwish before, but for some reason I was still surprised to hear Marco jump in there. I don't know why. One thing I love about Marco's voice, and I think he does this intentionally, is how bright and maybe even overly bright he sings. Sometimes he really accentuates those phantom, like those types of sounds there. And it usually contrasts really well. I think he knows exactly where to put it. Because when I listen to him sing in Nightwish, it's always in moments where he would want to stand out as a singer, right? I want to address his grit here, and then we'll keep going. So a lot of times when people try to do this gritty sound, right, and he's just adding a little bit, they'll think that they need to squeeze, right? And logically, if you haven't sung with grit or you're just getting started, that totally makes sense. I get why you think you have to, right? But even making those sounds, I didn't really like the way that felt. This is a lot more similar to a relaxed, like imagine saying, like something's delicious, but you add a little bit of a, oh, that's delicious. It always makes me think of the Joker. Hello, bats, right? This sort of Joker voice here. Like it kind of reminds me of that. Obviously, he's not turning that much on. But when we're singing in this voice right here, like it's much more about relaxation and engaging the space just above the vocal folds, right? And to get a little bit of that squeezed sound without actually having to squeeze the whole vocal tract. So I think the mixture of his distortion with the brightness of his timbre is a really nice combo. I really like that. It has kind of like well, obviously it would make sense for it to have a symphonic metal sound because it's Nightwish, but it has a symphonic metal sound, but to me it almost brings in a little bit of like an old school, like classic rock sound. Don't at me. I mean that in a very good way that I like. Let's keep going here because I'm familiar with Phantom of, like the bass song Phantom of the Opera, the original. And so I know he's going to probably unleash. Both of them are.
Those who have seen your face, your bucking fear, I am the mask you wear. My sleep here.
Whoa, what? I'm sorry, I'm pausing it, but what did I just hear? Hold on a sec. He like totally just let everything go and just, like literally he just did a false chord grunt. What?
Those who have seen your face, your bucking fear, I am the mask you wear. My sleep here, your spirit and my voice, they walk on by. The sound of all the horizon,
That is so sick. Well, let me talk about one thing at a time. So the reason I was surprised to hear him just sort of let everything go and just, you know, that sound is because, you know, we think Nightwish, we think opera. We think you know, opera with the lead singer Tarja, and we think, you know, extremely controlled like rock and metal singing with Marco. Just to let go like that was a little surprising, but it was so cool. And it makes sense too, right? Because this is theater, right? Phantom of the Opera is a play, and you're telling a story, and it totally makes sense in the context of what's happening here. So surprising, unexpected, but loved it. Now, one thing I love, they're doing it, you know, Flor and Marco, as I understand it, Marco's not in the band anymore, unfortunately, but in the last two videos I did, Ghost Love Score and Yours is an Empty Hope, I love the sound of opera, or like very well classically trained or classical style singing with a very bright timbred sound accompanying it. I think they complement each other so well, which is kind of weird, right? But I think that's why a lot of us love Nightwish, right? Because we love these two things existing together. You know, her very operatic sound. You know what? I'm not an opera singer, but just for fun, I'm going to give it a shot. Let's see. I'm not going to be as high as she is, but well, I'll start with him, right? So his more Phantom of the Opera is here. And you can actually, in the video, you can see him open up his mouth. The Phantom of the Opera is here. Like, you can see that, right? And then her, I'm going to give it a shot. This is going to be awful, but I'm totally going to give it a shot. Let's go. Her singing more operatically behind it. God, what a combo. This is like when I did those Travis Ryan songs. It's just goofy, right? The Phantom of... All right, I'm done. I won't make you all suffer through that anymore, but... Oh, that's funny. No, but seriously, the two of them together, I absolutely love it. Let's keep going.
When all your fantasies you always knew, that man mystery we both believe. When in this labyrinth, when night is light, the Phantom of the Opera is here. When
Yo. Okay, so I kept wanting to pause it, but they both kept getting higher. And I was like, geez, give me a second here. Holy crap. Okay, so that was wild. We're going to have to listen to some of that again. A, because it's awesome, and B, because it's very impressive. So one thing that we can expect, right? With opera singers, you know, especially, sopranos and such. I don't know if she would fall into the classification of soprano. She's certainly getting up there. Again, that's less my forte. But we expect these really high, like crystal shattering notes. And she's doing that so easily, right? She's doing that so well. What we don't expect is how high he got with that distortion. Now, I'm not going to say that it's never happened before, right? Because there's always an exception. He would be one of these exceptions. But I'm not sure how high he was getting up there. We're going to find it. But carrying distortion that high with that good vocal fold closure, that's nuts, right? So one thing that can be difficult when we're singing with grit is putting it on higher notes, right? I mean, a lot of our grit, quite honestly, loves being around our vocal break, right? You'll notice that a lot of people, when they sing with like in power metal or symphonic metal or things, when they sing with grit, not often are they super low in their chest space, right? Obviously they do. Sometimes they'll lead in a little bit, right? But most of when they're like actually like letting that chorus go or, well, any part, they're kind of a little bit higher and brighter in their timbre. You know, they're around that vocal break, that passaggio there. So it's not necessarily crazy that he was doing it with high notes. It's crazy how high he was going. Because a lot of times, I'm sure we've all experienced this as we try to get higher in our singing, right? We'll squeeze our throat, and that actually is counterproductive to singing high notes because it takes the vocal space, which we need a lot of, and squeezes in on those notes. And we do that to compensate, right? We're like, oh, I need to hold these vocal folds together to get this really high note. So I'm going to squeeze my throat, right? Not only does it make it hard to just do the note you're singing in and of itself, right? It makes it very difficult to have any distortion, because whether we're doing fry or false chord, right, the bits need room to move, right? And so if we're not allowing that, it's basically impossible. So for him to scoop up like he did was nutso. And I'll be honest, I was a little skeptical about how the two of them were going to sing together, because obviously Tarja, as she's singing those high notes, she's very much activating her headspace, right? And that means we're going to have a brighter, sharper, more, you know, pingy, you know, that's a word we hear a lot, and I think it's a good word. I think it describes it well. We're gonna have a lot more of that sound, right, coming up and out of the head. And I was like, I don't know how, like, I could hear them moving, and I was like, I don't know how this is gonna work, but it worked super well. Let's hear that again. I'm gonna try to find where he's at. I let that play for a while because I just couldn't find a good spot. Let's go back. Let's make it an even 3 minutes. How about that, folks? Let's make it an even 3 minutes. Here we go. Perfect. I think he gets higher than this. Ugh. No, I don't think I'm quite there. F sharp. So it's really heavily distorted. So to my ear, it's kind of existing between a G5 and a G sharp 5. That's wild. That's wild. Oftentimes, a lot of guys, when they sing and they go up and they, you know, if you're getting into your fifth octave, that's impressive already, right? That's a very tenor thing to do. But oftentimes when we get up there, our voice gets a little breathier, right? Because we're really, like, that's higher than I can sing. I'm just gonna be straight. Like, that's just, that is what it is, right? Our voice is gonna get a little bit breathier. And the reason for that is it's hard to keep the vocal folds together, you know? But he I think his distortion is helping him do it, but he has a really good amount of vocal fold closure there. And so it sounds, I don't want to use this word, it sounds mixy. Everything we do is a mix. Every time you vocalize, there's a mixture of resonance going on here. But whoa. I'm sorry, I'm a little fascinated. Yo. That was wild. Like, whoa, look at that shiny cowboy hat. That's nuts. All right, that was wild. So obviously it's a really good song, right? Obviously Nightwish is amazing, Tarja is amazing, Marco's amazing. So I was expecting a really good song that I would enjoy listening to, but like, the end of that is very technically impressive. Very technically impressive. I'm going to speak mostly to my metal vocalists and my rock vocalists here, because that's who I have a little bit more more expertise there. There is, and this may be valuable. This is kind of fundamental, actually. So if you're out there learning classical or opera, this should be pretty helpful for you as well. But a lot of times we'll hear people say, you know, you want to be entirely relaxed. You want to be fully relaxed. Purely relaxed singing is the best singing. And while it is true that finding as relaxed of a state as we can when we sing is important, I don't want you to think that singing like this is just as easy as, like, you know, standing in line outside waiting to get into the movie theater, because we can go to movies, right? But the throat, like when he's adding this grit, this "in sleep she came to me, la la yeah," like that sort of thing. When he's doing that, the throat is super relaxed. There's a bit of squeeze above the vocal folds, kind of in the area where you would have that like aryepiglottic muscle, kind of in that area. Not necessarily utilizing the epiglottis, by the way. That gives you kind of like your Louis Armstrong voice, but we've got a little bit of engagement there, a little bit of pharyngeal squeeze, mouth nice and open, but overall fairly relaxed here. Your abdominal muscles and your core, however, are going to be really engaged. A lot of times people, they'll try to get like just this basic sound, and oftentimes they'll start here like, ooh, hey, yeah. Like not necessarily trying to sound musical, just trying to get comfortable with grit first, and it just won't leave their throat. Just getting it up here is a concept that is just unreachable. Oftentimes it's either because they're a little disconnected from their breath support, or because they've taken a little too literally what's been said on the internet, which is you're 100% relaxed. This is fully relaxed. You need to be relaxed all the time. They'll be confused and they're not using their breath, and it sounds more like, hey, you know, and that's that really, when you do it wrong, it doesn't feel good. It's that really like kind of throaty tone. Anyway, I could talk for a long time. Main takeaways from here, both of them are incredibly in control of their instrument, and I love those voices together. I love Floor's voice. I think she's amazing, and honestly, after this, it'd be hard for me to pick a favorite. Like if I had to pick between the two, I would probably just deflect because I wouldn't know how to answer it, just to be honest with you. But anyway, that is Nightwish, Phantom of the Opera, with Tarja at the helm. Vocally. If you enjoyed the content, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell. It really does help us out a lot. We also have a Patreon. Feel free to check that out. I really appreciate you hanging out with me today, spending some of your Sunday with me. And as always, many thanks, much love. I'm out.